All right. Welcome. If you don't know me, I'm Bob Magoo. I'm an author, podcaster, indie tabletop game designer, and I teach a lot of classes at different places about different things. I recently was a presenter at the Alabama Writing Workshop and then the Atlanta Writing Workshop. These events are put on by Writer's Digest. Um, and I presented a class on organic marketing for authors, how to sell yourself and your book. So, since I have presented them uh, to this panel to them, I can now present it to you. So, here we go. Let's dive in. The agenda. Here's what we're going to cover: why you should listen to me. You're going to get some real life examples in the online space and then real life examples in person. We'll do a quick recap and then topic 5 questions you don't get. Sorry. That's the perk of going to these events live is you can, ask me follow-up questions. That said, you can ask me follow-up questions. Just go to my website, TalesbyBob.com, and you can ask any questions you have through the contact um, box on there, or you can reach out to any of my social medias and contact me through there. Tales by Bob, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I think. I don't know. Instagram and Facebook are your best bets. All right. Why should I listen to Bob? Well, it's because he's using plant imagery as a bad visual pun for organic marketing. So that should give you a little bit of indication of what you're getting yourself into. We're going to try and make this fun. We're going to try and get a little silly with it because this is, it's an interesting topic, but perhaps not a fun topic. So let's try and make it fun. All right, jokes aside, just for the moment, um, here's why you should listen to me. I'm going to be incredibly transparent with you. I'm going to give real life examples from my career. You're going to see specific posts that I have done, things like that. Um, I started out as a small press published author, went poorly. And then I have self published 7 books as of this recording. And I just signed a book deal with a traditional publisher, um, book to be coming out in 2025, hopefully. We'll see. Um, I've done all this without paying for ads. I don't. I'm very unlucky, and I know I know how my luck goes. And until I really, really have a good understanding about what I'm buying, I know that my Facebook ads or whatnot are not going to do good. And I haven't had the time to sit down and learn, so I just haven't done them. I don't do paid ads. Every little bit of success I have had has come from some form of organic marketing. Um, all right, here are my real life examples in the online space. First, your newsletter is your best marketing device. It's been weird. This was like a no brainer for years. Like this is one of those like this was just like understood to be the best bit of advice. And now there's like I've seen in the past year or so, there's been a lot of pushback against this, and I don't understand it. Uh, and I think what is happening is a lot of people don't like newsletters, and so they like, well, I don't like newsletters, so clearly I don't sign up for newsletters. So why would anybody else? Like, here's what I'm going to say. Generally speaking, all of this stuff you see here, this is not for you to go out and mimic exactly. It's for you to go out and figure out, hey, what can I do that's like that will work for me. Um, and some things you may not like, but if readers like it, you need to do it. People who sign up for your newsletter, they're, they're signing up because they're interested in you as a person. Like they're like, oh my god, I love this author so much. I want to know more, and I sign up. So you see a lot of complaints like, oh well, Gen, what's the new Gen Z people don't like newsletters. Okay, maybe they don't like them as much as millennials do. But some of them really do. I have Gen Z people sign up for my newsletters. Like I don't know. Anyway, ignore the naysayers. A newsletter is still your best marketing device. I promise you. Okay, it doesn't cost you anything until you get like a ton of names on there, then you'll start paying a monthly fee. But like me, I use MailChimp. I have 650-ish subscribers as of recording this video. And it's probably like 670, but I haven't put in the names that I got at the events I was just saying. Um, but all right, so I have 670 subscribers. I think, and I use MailChimp. I think they don't start charging till I hit 2,000 subscribers. So I've got a ways to go. Um, and there are all sorts of solutions out there. Just find one that works for you that's free. Okay. So yeah, doesn't cost you anything. Other big perk, you have total control. Social media, you don't have total control. You need to always be trying to get people back onto your turf. That is your email newsletter and your website if you have one. If you don't have a website, get a link tree. It will act as your website until you get one. Um, I have I have guides about that on my education tab on my website. You can go check that out. But um, so yeah, there's no algorithm out there that when you put out a newsletter, it's like, oh, well, we're only going to send it to 10% of your subscribers. No, it sends it to all subscribers. I average a 40% open rate, which is pretty good. If you're 30, you need to be shooting for over 30%. If you're not getting that, maybe look at what you're doing. But so I haven't had a Facebook post that has had what is that, like 300 people interact with it, like that that'd be really really good. So look, this is once a month I send out a newsletter. I'm not spammy with it. um and I get 40% of those people actively open that email. What the hell, that's awesome. um I'll add, you're probably thinking, but Bob, I'm not interesting enough for an email. You are. I promise you are. You're a person. You do things. People do not sign up to your newsletter for you to pitch your book to them every month. They've already found your books probably. They've already read your books probably. This is for you to let them know, like, hey, these are events I'm going to be at. Here's where I'm at on the next book. Um, and like, show some of yourself. Do you have cats? People love cats. Put a picture of your cats in there. Like, oh, hey, check out this cool picture of my cats. Do you have a hobby? Are you a knitter? Put a picture like, hey, I did knitting. Look at this neat thing I knit. Did knitted knit knit? I don't know. I'm not a knitter. I'm a bullshitter. Pistol fingers. They're classic. Um, no, but seriously, put some of yourself in there. That's why people are following this. And look, I get it. Maybe you don't have a book out yet. Um, that doesn't mean you can't start your email list. That's my biggest regret. I wish I started my email list when I started trying to be an author. Um, I missed 7 years of gathering email addresses because of that, and I kick myself every day. Um, Last note: whenever you're at in-person events, always have a written, like a sheet where people can write their emails down. A lot of authors try to do the QR code thing. It does not work nearly as well as a written sign-up sheet. I promise you. Um, Look, I get it. QR codes, they're the future. Future ain't now. People like writing down their email address. I don't make the rules. All right. Oh, and here you can see a picture. This is a picture of a newsletter I sent. And so you can see here, the top of it was like, oh, hey, Atlanta Comic Con was rad. And, I did a picture of that's me and Ben Meeks and Paige L. Christie and Vanessa Gunta. And oh my God, I cannot remember her name. And oh my God, I hate myself. But she was great too. You can go read my post to learn more about how that event went. All right. People like interactive activities. You'll see this a lot. Like in urban fantasy spaces, it's very common for author to make a little image that's like, your birth month is this magical creature from my book series. So what creature are you? Or if you could have one of these three powers, which one would you choose? And it'll be powers from their books. Okay, those work really well. They get a lot of engagement. People like interactive activities where they can engage with it. Like, oh yes, no, I would definitely be a phoenix, and here's why. I would totally choose time control powers, and here's why. I'm a weird little shit, and I write books about a math wizard. So if I'm going to make an interactive activity, it's going to be a little weird. So you can see here's one I made: how to cosplay as Howard Marsh as of book 5. And I made this image um, that you can see here, and explains exactly how to cosplay as Howard Marsh, my main character. It's very visual, which caught the eye. It featured a possum. People love possums. We're going to talk about that later. Um, and it captures the feel of my books. So if people look at this and like, oh, that's funny, that's interesting, they might like my books. And you can see over here on the left, some of the interactions I got. Uh, you can see where I got someone is like checking out the oh cool, I'm very interested. I read the synopsis, but I gotta ask how trashy this white trash is. Um, and then like people commenting how hard is it to acquire a fat possum, but like look, this was more engagement than a lot of my posts get, and it was because it was fun. And you may think, no one is going to cosplay as a redneck wizard until they do. What? Yeah, I was at Alabama Comic Con, and this awesome gentleman walked up to me, possum in hand, uh, cosplaying as Howard Marsh. It was amazing. Man, ticked off a little success marker for myself. Um, all right, bring value to the community that drives traffic. If you need to go to where your readers are. So, like I write urban fantasy, there are some really active Facebook groups centered around urban fantasy. And while some of them do allow self promotion, if all you ever do in there is self promote, you're going to quickly see diminishing returns, and people are eventually going to get kind of pissed at you. Um, so, do things that bring value. My go-to example is Gail Z. Martin. She is a huge Supernatural fan of the TV show. She runs like community groups, and I think she does podcasts with it. She's all about Supernatural. Huge fan. Constantly bringing value to that fandom. She's not in there like, hey, I'm an author. Hey, I'm an author. Hey, I'm an author. She's just being her genuine self, and people figure out that she's an author and they follow her home because they appreciate the value that she brings to the community. And when I say follow follow her home, I don't mean in the stalker sense. I mean in the to her website, to where they can buy her books. Um, Here's an example of something I do. I make lists of urban fantasy books. There's not a ton of great urban fantasy books, and when they are, they more or less just swap out the same 20 or so authors depending on the list. So I make a bunch of lists. So you can see here's a post I made in the Fans of Urban Fantasy group where it I did this as a series of posts where each one was 5 states, um, going in alphabetical order. So, and look, I put myself on there for Alabama. What? I don't care. Get fucked. Um, but so Alaska. Uh, Jolene is a friend of mine. I threw her book on there. She's indie. This Arkansas book was also indie, I believe. But then Sean McGuire and Kevin Hearn, they're big names. So it's kind of like, oh, here's people that you would recognize. Maybe here's some folks that you wouldn't. Or maybe you're trying to do a book challenge and you're trying to read a book from every state. Well, cool. Did you know that, Sean McGuire has a series set in California? Cool. That could be your California. Um, and I have lists for all sorts of stuff. So, like you can see here, this is a screenshot from my website. Great urban fantasy books that have a necromancer protagonist that feature magic tattoos. I have a bunch that are location based. Like here's a bunch that are set in the British Isles, but not London because there's so many set in London. I have one that's like every province in Canada, stuff like that. Um, and you can see these are some of the comments up here. And fun thing, I use affiliate links for all these. So if people follow me back to my website, maybe they're not interested in my books, but they're like, "Ooh, look at this cool list! Oh my God, that Darren Kennedy book, the April Sullivan Chronicles, looks really cool. It's really good." Um, it is, trust. If they click that link to go buy it, and they buy it, I get a little bit of money. I'll get a couple of pennies. But hey, pennies make dollars, dollars make more dollars, right? Something like that. Every little bit helps. So yes, so find a way to bring value to the community, and you don't have to do something this elaborate. Just engage, like have conversations with people. Here's an example of this, like in effect. Okay, so when I did my fifth book launch, um, I posted on the fantasy subreddit. Okay, if you don't know much about Reddit, some of this may be lost on you. And Reddit is one of my main marketing tools. But if you don't know how to use Reddit and you're not very familiar with Reddit culture, I don't advise it. I was in the Reddit culture before I ever started using it for any kind of marketing. They can be very brutal. Um, all right. So what happens is in the fantasy subreddit, you have to be an active member to do any sort of promotion. And you cannot just do promotion. You have to message and get approval. And you can do 2 posts a year. So I messaged, was like, hey, um, I want to do a post. This is the content of my post. Can I do it? I want to do it on this day. And um, the very first time I did tried to do this, they were like, no, you're not active enough. And it was weird because I used to be very active, but then basically I got busy like trying to get books out, and so I wasn't active, and so like for like a year there I wasn't really active, so it was totally justified. But now I have a rhythm, so I stay active on there. So I was active enough, and my comments on there are not, "Ooh, check out my book. Oh, I think my book would be a good fit for this." Oh, da 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 da. No, my comments on there are, "Oh, you're looking for a good grimdark series, and all you've read is First Law. You should check out the Black Company because I love the Black Company. I recommend it every chance I get." So it's stuff like that. All right, so you can see the post here um, on the side. You can kind of see the results: 383 upvotes, generated scores of comments, and this is where I got the bulk of my sales from. And if you're super curious, how did my book 5 launch go? Again, I'm huge on transparency. If you go to my website, there's a tab that says transparency, and you can click. There's a link there that'll show you all my book launches, how they went. So you can see, how did this go for me? Went pretty well. Um, okay, but also like cool things. I got value from the comments themselves. This was kind of where I realized I was really messing up by not having audiobooks, because I get so many people asking for audiobooks. Audiobook 1 is getting recorded as we speak. It'll be out next month, which will be April 2024. Um, it's coming. But this is when I realized, oh man, I like a lot of people are saying that they would be reading these books. It's perfect for them, but they only do audiobooks. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to move this up my to-do list. Um, there were some great comments from past readers that was very edifying to me. I got comments that were asking about the setting that I got to, kind of flesh out for people. Like, it was just an overall very positive experience. But I was only able to do this because I was providing value to the community. I was an engaged member of this community. Therefore, I was allowed to promote. Interviews and guest appearances. One of my favorites. I'm actually, like, this very weekend, I will be recording a couple episodes of my podcast, but then I will be guesting on another cool podcast after that, where I think we're talking 80s music. I don't know. I don't know the exact content. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. Um, but so yeah, there are always podcasts and YouTube shows looking for guests. I saw a statistic recently, and take it with a huge grain of salt because internet facts, you know how those go. But it was basically that if you took every streaming service combined, total up the number of hours watched on them in a week, they don't equal half of what gets watched on YouTube in a week, something like that. So YouTube is the primary way that people like take in longer form media at this point. And granted, a lot of that is reels or whatever their shorts are called. Are they called shorts? I'm an expert, y'all. But yeah. Anyway, so my point is, there's always people looking for content, and a lot of people do interview type shows. And look, you may, as a baby author, maybe you don't have a lot to say about being an author yet, or maybe you do. Um, but you're a person, you have interests. Go find podcasts about your interest. Go find, YouTube series, stuff like that, and just reach out. Just ask. Just ask. What are they going to do? Say no? No, we don't want to interview you. Okay, move on. There's 20,000 other podcasts doing the same topic. It'll be fine. It's not, you know, it, it'll be fine. I'm going to particularly shout out, excuse me, Go Indie Now. It's a primarily YouTube based network. It's run by Joe Compton, who is fantastic. And it is, they generate multiple shows a week. They have like 5 or 6 shows every week uh, that is centered around being an indie creative, which for someone like me who is a very, very indie creative, it's great. So you can see here, like this was a promo image that they sent out. They were doing a double feature of interviews of 21 Grams, which is a show hosted by Joe Compton. And so I got to be on there. Wayne Termel was on before me. I love Wayne. He's a good friend. Wish he lived closer. So yeah, you can reach out to Joe and be like, "Hey, Joe, I was looking at this show. I think I'd be a great interview." Blah blah blah. Um, Purdy Nerdy, the talk show, fantastic, fantastic. You need to go check it out. Um, I got to go on there and talk about indie game design and my books. It was a great experience. I got onto that because she was kind of just starting her show, and she interviewed a couple authors that knew me, and those authors were like, "Oh, hey, you should go interview Bob." And so they were like, "Hey, Bob, you should reach out to her." And I was like, oh, I reached out, and it was great. It was an amazing experience. Um, so look, maybe these won't give you a ton of exposure, and that's fine. Part of the benefit is it gives you it builds confidence, and it gives you practice. Like it gives you practice speaking in public. As an author, um, you can definitely do the I just stay at home and push my books online route. You can do that. I don't do that. I try and get out there as much as possible because my books are a little bit harder to sell. Meth Wizard. Um, so by having a slightly harder topic, I do better when I can push it in person. So if you think, hey, Bob's doing a halfway decent job at this, I know there are people that are a lot better. Um, but I did not start out as good as I am now. It was something that I built towards. And being on podcasts like this was integral to that. So there are places like there's a subreddit on Reddit called Podcast Guest Exchange, where you can if you are a podcast, you can be like, hey, I'm looking for a guest that is a deep sea welder to interview, or you can be like, hey, I am a person looking to be interviewed. I am a author, indie game designer, and podcaster. I'm an Eagle Scout and recently have become a stepfather, like things like that. So, um, because I actually got to do a really cool podcast somewhat recently. It was a live recording at a con called Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom. Where because I got married last year, and so I'm a new stepdad, and I got to speak about that experience and how that interacts with fandom, and it was really great. It was not because I was they were like, "Oh, Bob, you're an author. We need you on the podcast." It was like, no, it was like, "Hey, look, I have an interesting perspective that I can bring to the table while being a huge nerd." It was a lot of fun. All right. Um Reddit IMA. AMA. So this is I am a it's a thing on Reddit. It's where um I am a here you can see I am an author who's written a 6 book series about a redneck wizard. Ask me anything. Um, the point of these is you say, hopefully, I am something interesting. Ask me questions about it. And I put this on here to show partly you never know where things are going to pop off. Okay. So you can see just this was you can see the post here. Um, and you can see it generated 115 comments, 336 upvotes, likes, essentially. I could see where you can see the big spike there. You know, is where like um, the sales bump came after this post. But this led to a screenwriter reaching out. Actually, they were, and I quote, doom scrolling Reddit. Um, what happened was I had been meaning to make this post for months, kept putting it off, kept putting it off. You have to, to do these, you have to verify that you are who you are, and I just never got around to verifying. And it was not complicated, but it was slightly more complicated than just making a post. So I kept putting it off. Anyway, I had to go to a kid's birthday party one Sunday afternoon. I was like, by God, I'm doing this post before I go to this birthday party so that while I'm at the birthday party, people can be asking the questions. And then when I get back, I can answer the questions. That's kind of how these things work. And so I did that. And on my, um, like, as I was checking things out, I had a message from a screenwriter. They were like, hey, look, I was doom scrolling Reddit. I saw this. This concept sounds amazing. Let's talk. Um, and so my my dad had a phrase that he used a lot. Act like you've been there before. And he always used it in the concept of football because he hated seeing someone score a touchdown and just really showboat. Because in his opinion, he's like, you should act like you've been there before. Like, don't celebrate that much. It's not that big of a deal if you've been there before, right? So, but that's something I apply to my life wherever I can. So, a screenwriter, a like union real deal screenwriter reaches out to me. He's like, hey, would you be interested in talking? And so on my side of the phone, I'm like, oh my God, yes, of course. But in the message, I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'd be open to talking. Yeah, let's see where things go. Anyway, the screenwriter's now shopping a pilot script around Hollywood. Blind luck. Blind luck is huge. You never know what's like. It was right time, right place, blind luck. Okay. Don't think it's like, oh my God, Bob is so amazing. Like, well, I am, but that's, it's like, I made sure I had a decent product out in the world, a product that I was, confident was good. Um, and someone recognized that. And an opportunity has sprung from that. Will this ever become a TV show? Odds are against me. Um, but I have a pilot script written for a TV show that wouldn't be otherwise. Blind luck. Okay. Memes. I love memes. Possum memes in particular. And people love memes. They're visual, they're quick, ingestible, and they're funny. Okay. Most people don't like meth. Some do. Some really like meth. Most people don't really like rednecks. Again, some do. Some really do. Um, and really, the interaction of redneck and meth is really not that popular. But people do like possums, and my books have a possum. Um, did I write a possum into this book series so I'd have something marketable? No, I just like possums, and I was like, by God, if my redneck wizard is going to have a familiar, it's going to be a possum because I love possums. They eat their body weight in ticks every year. It's very hard for them to get rabies because of their body temperature. They're great, okay, and they're adorable. They're so ugly, they're cute. It's fantastic. They make me happy. They make other people happy, and they soften a harsh topic. Memes, meth is not funny. Possums are funny. And folks like to share memes. I've gotten far more shares from me sharing a meme than me being like, oh, hey, I had a new book come out. Cool. Some of my author friends share it. Some of my friends and family share it. Some of my fans share it. A meme, though, like 40 random people will share it if I get lucky, And then maybe some of those people follow it back to um, where it came from. I did get asked this at the convention, um, and this was, I'll be honest, not something I had ever really consciously thought about. But they're like, do you credit the creator of the meme? I'll be honest with you, 98% of the time, I have no idea who created the meme unless they put, like, here you see Gladys Opossum. Like, cool, I know who created that meme. Um, there's not really a culture of crediting memes that I'm aware of. but maybe it'll become an issue in the future. I don't know. Maybe that got asked because it's becoming more of a thing. Um, but so maybe just be cognizant of that. But at this point, I people send me memes all the time. They send me possum memes all the time, and then I turn around and share the ones I think are the most uh, Howard Marsh redneck wizard appropriate. So I literally have no idea where a lot of these come from. Um, Real life examples in person. All right, convention panelist slash workshop presenter. I do a ton of panels at nerdy conventions all across the southeast. Um, do you run a convention? I would love to come speak at it. Um, they add first off they humanize you. Okay, like people get an idea. Oh, okay, okay. We have cats. We have a lot of cats, and Parker is letting his presence be known. Um, do y'all want to see him? Let's see. Oh, this is office cat. Parker. He's the office manager. Oh, look at him. He is magnificent. Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, Olive. Olive is here and she wants attention too. But she doesn't like to be picked up. So y'all aren't going to see her. All right. Anyway, you may hear her meow. Okay. So first off, they humanize you. You know, your social media you is very much like your brand, and like you're probably curating that to some degree. And it doesn't always give people a real impression of who you are. Um, it's why they recommend on social media that every so often you make a point of including your face in one of your posts so that people see that there's a person behind this account. Um, they give you credibility as an expert. I'm gonna be real annoying and scroll back up. Please don't throw up. Um, all right, there. You see this? This is me at DragonCon. That's John Hartness. Is the bearded redneck beside me. He's the head of Falstaff Books. He writes above the Monster Hunter series. Falstaff Books is who's going to be publishing my horror novel. On this side, Sherilyn Kenyon. She has sold like 80 million copies of her books. You know, the gentleman here next to her is Steve Saffel. He's been an editor for like Marvel and DC and tons of books. And on the end was the moderator Berta. She's amazing. She's a really good friend of mine. Um, but one of these things is not like the other, and that's me. But because I'm seated between John Hartness and Sherilyn Kenyon, I look a lot more credible. um, so yeah, boop, 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 boop. Rolling back, rolling back. Okay, I hope you didn't throw up. But yeah, so they add credibility. And folks will follow you home. Folks will frequently come up to you after to ask questions. You can give them business cards. Um, you know, don't be rude, and like there's probably a panel that's going to be setting up after. Maybe you spend a couple minutes answering questions there, but if there's a lot of folks, you say, hey, let's just take it to the hall. So that we're not messing it up for the next people trying to set up. Um, but it's great. Workshops are similar, except they offer even more credibility because people probably paid a lot more to be there, and you get paid. What? What? People paying for my presence? It happens. It happens a lot more now than it used to, and it's great. I love it. Um, please, please pay me to come be at your event. That said, I will come to your event without pay. If it's too far away, it'll have to be virtual, but I will speak to your class. I've spoken to college classes. I have done uh, workshops at libraries. I've done workshops at community spaces, like all for free. Like this, this workshop is now free on my website. You can get my content for free always. Just follow me back here. Um, so there you go. Um, they're great, and you never know what opportunities are going to come from this. I wasn't on this panel, but I went to a panel, and author Ben Meeks was on there, and he writes Southern urban fantasy, same as me, and I had never met someone who did that. And so I was like, oh my god, please let's dish. And we started swapping emails, and now me and him do events together all the time. We're like best buds. He's now a co-host on my podcast. And because like even if we hated each other, if we were still just sharing events, we would save we've saved each other hundreds of dollars by splitting hotel rooms, splitting table fees, things like that. Um, but we're best bros, so it works out great. We have a ton of fun and we save each other money. And so that was just an opportunity that came from a panel on his side, not my side. His side is like, oh, I did this panel and I now have my road dog Bob. All right, passive advertising. This is my truck. Um, you can see this bumper sticker: Redneck Meth Wizard Books. Tells by Bob. Has this got me any sales? I don't know. But what I do know is when I'm stuck in traffic, the car behind me, I'm not going to get out of my car and go pitch to them. And most people will not care or pay attention. But I imagine at some point, someone is going to buy my books and become a fan because of this bumper sticker. It's going to happen. All right. Um, if you go to downtown Montgomery, a lot of the trash cans have stickers on them that are from about my books. Um, I don't spend a lot of time around trash cans. I'm more of a dumpster guy, really. But downtown Montgomery, I'm not going to be standing by every trash can, so I'm not going to be there to pitch my books. But these stickers do, you know. Um, so while it's a very low chance of getting noticed, it's not zero, and I'm not there to get noticed anyway. So why not? I also, and we'll talk about this in a second, but like I give away a lot of stickers, and what I tell people that always, it never fails to get a laugh. Which if you can get them laughing, you're in a good spot. Um, is I was like, hey, everyone can have one sticker for free. If you take more than one sticker, you have to put the second sticker someplace that someone would not approve. And a lot of folks will just laugh and be, oh, okay, cool. But I was at Dragon Con and this guy was like, oh my God, I work for a pest company. I got you. And he grabbed a bunch of stickers. So I like to think that somewhere, some community in Atlanta now has a bunch of my stickers all over them from this guy doing his pest work. So, stuff like that. Subtle promotion at other events. You probably do other things. I happen to run a small nonprofit, the Hilltop Howlers. We support art, culture, and music in the Montgomery area. It's not my day job. It's just another thing I do. Um, and so occasionally we go and set up at events. So like this was where the Biscuits, the Montgomery Biscuits, is our local baseball team, AAA baseball team. We're the Biscuits. I don't know, man. I didn't name it. It's just what it is. But they have community nights where you can be like the nonprofit of the night, and every home run that gets hit, we would get money. So no one has ever hit a home run while we've been set up there, of course. Anyway, so this was I was set up there as my nonprofit. But hey, you know what you see over there in the corner? My book. Was I there to promote my books? No, but I was there and I put my book there in the corner and most people didn't ask about it. But if someone did, and I wasn't like, "Oh, hey, while you're here, look at my book." But I was like, "Hey, if someone asked, I would tell them." I put my books in my cubicle at work. And I have gotten sales from it. I've gotten two sales from that over the years, and maybe more of but I have literally like sold a book out of my cubicle that way. But it is just people see it. I don't like beat people over the head with like, hey, look at you're in my cubicle, look at my book. But it's there. It's subtle. You know, if people bring it up, I'll tell them about it. Get weird with it. This is my challenge to you. You're a creative person. That's fantastic. There's like 4 billion other creative people on this planet. If you want to get noticed, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to figure out how to use your creativity to get noticed. All right. I remember that guide to how to cosplay as Howard Marsh. I followed my guide and cosplayed as Howard Marsh. I went to downtown Montgomery. I made a sign, read Redneck Meth Wizard books with my email on it. I got my fake possum Horace that I take to all my convention booths. Um, and I stood on the street corner and just for like an hour, you know. Um, then went a few days later, did it again outside of I think it was a Mossy Oak convention or Bass Pro convention, something like that. I figured, hey, it's a hunting convention. there's going to be lots of rednecks because it's Alabama and hunting. Safe bet. It's like, well, maybe I'll promote my books. I'll dress up and be silly. Um, what happened? I got a gun brandished at me by a homeless guy because even it's Alabama, even the homeless people have guns. Uh, um, but I had a bunch of people honk. Well, a bunch. I had several people honk. A few people took pictures. There was a fairly active thread on Reddit in the Montgomery subreddit that followed like the next day of where someone was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Um, and then a month later, I was at a Oktoberfest like pop up market thing, and a guy literally ran across this green space, like ran, like Jesus Christ, Alabama dude, don't run, it's hot. Well, he was in shape though, Air Force. It was disgustingly healthy. Anyway, he ran up to me. He's like, "Dude, I just finished book one. I love it. I got all the rest of them." And he had never heard of me before, but he saw me on the street corner and was like, he's like, "What the fuck?" Went and looked it up and was hooked. So get weird with it. My goal is to do this enough that I get on the news. That's that's the real goal. um, all right, stickers and business cards, small free things. You need a small free thing. People like free stuff. Picking the right free stuff is a little harder. Business cards are a can't miss. I put a QR code to my Linktree on it. The cool thing about doing that is one, Linktree will generate a QR code for you that you can download. Okay, easy peasy. Um, and that Linktree, if I ever need, like, here's the thing: if for whatever reason I decided Tales by Bob is not working anymore, I really want to be bimbambalabim.com. If my QR code linked to TalesbyBob.com, then those business cards aren't good anymore. But by linking to my link tree, I can change the links on the link tree and the QR code is still valid. So if I ever change my website, I can just swap that link. Um, if I ever change, um, I will eventually change my newsletter uh, provider. I already know who I'm going to go to. I don't need to yet, but I know where I'm going to go when I get to that point. Um, and those will generate landing pages for you, a sign up landing page. So I will need to change that from my old host to my new one. Well, because I'm using Linktree, I don't have to worry about the QR code not being good. Okay. So don't put your email or phone number. You can always write that on the back if needed. Early on, I did that. I put both on there. You're just asking to get stalked at that point. You're asking to get your personal email blown up. Um, if you make a connection that they need to have your email, write it on the back. Same for a phone number. Um, just put a link to your website, QR code to your link tree. Um, Easy peasy. Um, I would with the business card, and I know I just said like, oh well, if I ever change my website, your website shouldn't change. That was probably a terrible example, but like, I get like, yes, if you were to change your website address, this card would no longer be good. Like these are my current cards you can see here on this picture. Um, some folks just don't like using QR codes, and you need to have something on there. And I personally don't think Linktree links look professional in this context. People are used to seeing them in bios on like social media. I think having a Linktree link written on here would not look professional. So that's why I actually use my website address. Take that with whatever grain of salt you want. Uh, a lot of stickers do bookmarks and stickers. In my opinion, stickers are a better choice. Ben Meeks just actually came out with a book, The Art of Selling Books. You should go get it. I was a beta reader for it. I literally learned 90% of what I learned about selling in person from Ben. He's fantastic at it. So go get that book. You can get on Kindle Unlimited. So like, there's no reason to not if you have Kindle Unlimited. Like, it's tons of great advice about selling in person or just selling in general. Um, he breaks it down. Bookmarks are actually kind of a terrible choice. Unless you're hand making them, they're too expensive. A business card costs like 3-4 cents each. Bookmark usually costs like 30 or 40 cents. If you give away 100 of those, you just gave away 30 or 40 bucks. Some of these events, um, the profit margins are low. Maybe it was a very expensive event to get into. Maybe not a lot of people came. Like you could really like kill your profit doing bookmarks. Anyway, stickers are more expensive than business cards, but cheaper than bookmarks. Weirdly, if you find the right site, right promos, yada yada yada. I get asked all the time, where did I get these stickers? I forgot. I hate myself. I forgot where I got them. I'll figure it out eventually when I need to reorder, but off the top of my head, I do not remember where I got these made. I do remember they were cheap. Um, but the cool thing about them is people will put stickers in public places that people can see, like tops of their laptop, on their water bottles, things like that. Um, and people are more like, honestly, people are more likely to not lose a sticker than to lose a business card. Folks will take your business card. Oh, I'm totally going to look at that next week. They're not. They're not. But that sticker might actually get used. All right, quick recap. Bring value to the community. Be genuine. You need to be creative, not just in your writing, but also in your marketing. And blind luck will be a factor. But you never know what is going to be the thing that kicks off or brings a great opportunity. You just never know. Um, so if you take away a few things, ask. Always ask. Just ask. You want to be on my podcast? Just ask. I'm going to tell you no. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you. I'm going to tell you no. We're not that kind of podcast. It's not a reflection on you. We're just not that kind of podcast. But I would not be mean to you. I would just say, hey, sorry, we're not looking for guests. Um, but if you go to the education page on my website right now, TalesbyBob.com/education, I have a section on there. Is like, hey, are you somewhat local to me? You see, I'm going to be at an event, and you want to learn how to sell books in person. Come be my intern for the weekend. Just ask. Just ask. I'll totally let you do it. I'm not gonna work you. You can just come out, hang out, and learn how to sell books in person. You just gotta ask. How did I get to do the workshops that I've done? I asked. I was like, hey, are you looking for a speaker? I could speak on these topics. And every time I've done that, I have either been told yes or told not this year, maybe next year. Uh, we're already full for this year. So yeah, just ask, okay? And I'm gonna. So then we would click here, questions, and thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna reiterate. You really can go to my website. I'm at the point in my career where I'm busy, but not so busy slash successful that I have a personal assistant that answers emails for me, kind of deal. Like if you reach out to the contact form, you're going to get me. And I'm busy, but I'm not so busy that I can't respond to emails. And I respond to every email that I get. That's not like, let me market your book. Let me market your podcast. Fuck off. If you're reaching out to me trying to drum up business, you're not someone I want to deal with. Um, the good folks, uh, people go to them, I find. Anyway, so yeah, reach out. Seriously, reach out. Ask questions. I'm happy. If you go to my education, talesbybob.com/education, get all this content for free. And you have follow-up questions, just ask. If there's a guide, you're like, hey, Bob, I see you do this thing. You don't have a guide for it. Could you make a guide for it? I totally will. I'm always looking for ideas on what I should turn into guides. Um, so yeah, please reach out. And lastly, like, look, you're probably an author if you're watching this. If you're not, weird but cool. Glad you're here. Hopefully you got some value out of it. Um, but look, I really am huge on transparency. Every month I do a blog post where I show you how much I made in sales, how my social media grew or shrunk, what I did differently that month, what I tried, if I tried anything new. I break down. I it has always frustrated me, especially when it's coming up. I had no point of reference. Like, am I doing good? Are my sales good? Are my sales bad? Because I didn't know anyone who could tell me. And now I'm at the point where authors, like when we're hanging out, they'll tell me like, oh yeah, no, yeah, it was a pretty good month, or oh, this event was good. I made this much. Um, there's no reason to not be open with that. I get it. People have their reasons, but I'm a huge fan of transparency. If I had my druthers, everyone would like their salary would be on their breast pocket, like because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We put way too much importance on that. People matter, paychecks don't matter, other than keeping us alive and you know, um, but your paycheck is not your status, or it shouldn't be. Anyway, if you want to know, like, hey Bob, I saw you did Atlanta Comic Con. How did sales go for you? You can go look. I break it all down. Hey Bob, you're you did this workshop. How did that go for you? I break it all down. How did your book launch go? I break it all down. I use real numbers. Where applicable, I will frequently use screenshots. Seriously. So it's like tellsbybob.com/transparency, but really just go to tellsbybob.com. All right. You can ask me questions. You can see other educational resources that I have. I have like the last video I made was how to diversify your revenue streams as an author or as a creative, I think is what I called it. But that was another workshop I presented at the Atlanta Self Publishing Conference. So please reach out, use this free resource. I put it there because I've gotten a lot of help along the way, and I want to pay it forward essentially. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Thank you for watching this far. I hope you got a lot out of it, or at least some out of it. Um, go buy a book. What? They're on Kindle Unlimited. What? Redneck Meth Wizard. What? Yeah. So, buy books, please.